Hello and welcome to the morning programming live on NTN. We are coming to you live from the Information Command Center of the GIS studios. My name is Jessie Leonce, and today is the 19th of November 2020, observed the world over as Men's Day. We'll get into that in just a moment, but in the meantime, St. Lucia has recorded new cases of COVID-19. We will soon hear from the CMO about that, and also the government is going to heighten the management of COVID-19 following parliamentary approval to access financing. We'll get the details to that in a report in just a moment, and we will also go into some bulletin information, and we will tell you why police have closed access to the roadway between the Shock Roundabout and the Corinth Gap. It's very important information if you will be commuting later on today. On the regional front, we have St. Vincent and the Grenadines assuming the presidency of the UN Security Council. We'll have the details to those stories and more coming up in just a moment. If you're just joining us, you're right on time. We'd like to welcome you, those of you watching on air and online, our YouTube, our Facebook, and on our channel 122. Welcome to you, St. Lucians in the diaspora, residents right here watching, keeping abreast as to what is happening here on island. We continue to watch out for COVID-19. We hope that you are vigilant, you are adhering to the protocols and adhering to the infection prevention guidelines, the use of the mask, the hand sanitizer, the soap and water, washing your hands as frequently as possible, and also observing the 6-foot distance at least. We're going to go over the protocols again. It is important for us all to know it in order to protect ourselves and our families and those who are important to us and the population at large. And we should be prepared to spit it out as scripture like an evangelist should we have to inform someone else, right? So stay tuned. We'll have the details to these news stories and more coming up right after this break, as well as the protocols.
Overnight, growing national unrest.
Society, a digital cashless society, one world currency.
A vaccine for COVID-19.
Droplets
COVID virus.
Macy's iconic flagship. Set inside
The coronavirus. On the corona pandemic.
Our opposition to the lockdown.
Infected conspiracy theories
About the coronavirus.
bizarre claims.
The truth about the origin of COVID-19 hidden from the rest of the world. And the Chinese.
In this constantly changing environment, resulting in sensory overload, cut through the noise and tune in to the National Television Network, the official source of information, all facts.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, a special good morning to you. We are live on NTN for today, Thursday, the 19th of November 2020. My name is Jessie Leonce, bringing you the latest developments from the government of St. Lucia. The government has now been equipped to heighten its management of COVID-19 following parliamentary approval to access financing. Before we get into the details of that, we do have registered new cases of COVID-19 right here on island. I now go to a statement from the Chief Medical Officer filling us in on the 5 new cases that were registered yesterday, Wednesday, the 18th of November, bringing our total number of cases to 183 recorded of COVID-19. Take a look.
Today, Wednesday, November 18th, 2020, the Ministry of Health and Wellness received confirmation of 5 new cases of COVID-19. This brings the total number of cases diagnosed in country to date to 183. Case number 179 is a 49-year-old female from the Castries district. Case number 180 is a 12-year-old male from the Castries district. Case number 181 is a 53-year-old male from the Castries district. Case number 182 is a 20-year-old male from the Castries district. Case number 183 is a 59-year-old female from the Castries district. All of these individuals, after being assessed and tested for COVID-19, were placed in quarantine by healthcare practitioners while awaiting their test results. 2 of the cases were identified through the contact tracing process, and an epidemiological link has been established for these. Case number 181 is linked to case number 162. Case number 183 is linked to case number 164. Investigations are ongoing to determine the existence of any additional epidemiological links associated with these cases. As per protocol, arrangements have been made to place these individuals into care. We once again ask every citizen to embrace the efforts to minimize the threat of COVID-19 nationally. It is important to make the protocols part of your daily routine to protect the health of every individual and to minimize the impact of the virus on our country as a whole. In addition, it is important that we also take action to maintain our personal health and well-being. These measures will assist in building strong immune systems, which will improve resistance to the virus and prevent the severe forms of the illness. Eat a healthy, balanced diet, including fruits and vegetables daily. Regular daily intake of water instead of sugary drinks and beverages. Daily physical activity. Limit your intake of alcohol and avoid its misuse and abuse. Do not smoke, as apart from its risk for chronic illness, it also leads to lung damage and exacerbates respiratory illnesses like COVID-19. Doing these alongside the infection prevention and control guidelines of hand hygiene, use of a face mask in public places, and maintaining a separation of 6 feet when in public will help to reduce the spread of COVID-19. If experiencing flu-like symptoms, keep away from others and seek medical care immediately at the closest respiratory clinic. The Ministry of Health and Wellness will continue providing updates as new information becomes available.
That update there from the Department of Health and Wellness, letting us in on the new cases of COVID-19 registered within the last 24 hours. Case number 79, a 49-year-old female from the Castries district. Case number 180, a 12-year-old male from the Castries district. I believe all of them are from Castries. Case number 181, a 53-year-old male. Case 182, a 20-year-old male. And case number 183, a 59-year-old female. All 5 of these new cases are from Castries, bringing our total number of COVID-19 cases to date to 183. Of course, the CMO there reinforcing the need for us adopting, if not yet, healthy lifestyles at this point in time, ensuring that we keep our immunity up to give. It's all part of the COVID-19 fight at this point in time. And speaking of which, we have the International Men's Day observation focusing on health as well. The theme for this year, 2020, is Better Health for Men and Boys, intending to make practical improvements to the health and well-being of the male population. And just want to fill you in, there was an activity going live from the GIS yesterday that we hope you can check out on our Facebook platform, or stay tuned to NTN for later on in the day. We know that there's going to be a rebroadcast. The International Men's Network and the Department of Gender Relations presented Boys to Men Conference, a Boys to Men conference with keynote speakers and live performances by conscious artists. I believe there was a statement made by the Gender Relations Minister, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert. So a very exciting press conference, and I do hope that when you do get a chance, you can take a look at it in its entirety. We continue on with news for the morning. I want to give you this important information. A $30 million loan approved by Parliament will enable government to meet expenses associated with the management and the mitigation of COVID-19. We now go to that COVID-19 loan report. Take a look.
The global outbreak of COVID-19 has created many challenges for individuals in the fishing sector, including decreased demand, the unreliable market for fish, and reduced access to fishing. In an effort to provide relief for fisherfolk currently being
Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, the Honorable Alan Shastney, explained that the COVID-19 pandemic has posed a significant financial burden on the government of St. Lucia. The Prime Minister, during the last sitting of Parliament, indicated that a reduction in revenue and an increase in expenditure, all effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, have created an urgent financing need. It is against this backdrop that the Prime Minister presented a motion seeking Parliament's authorization to borrow an amount of US $30 million from the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB. Prime Minister Honorable Shastney disclosed that the funds will facilitate the implementation of policy reform initiatives designed to support St. Lucia's COVID-19 crisis response and achieving fiscal stability.
Mr. Speaker, the policy-based loan is structured around two pillars, and the measures supported are aligned with the Government of St. Lucia's COVID-19 response strategy. Pillar 1, the immediate economic actions to mitigate the health and economic crisis caused by COVID-19. This will be accomplished through the following measures. A, an increase in budget lines for COVID-19 pandemic health-related expenditures. B, the implementation of an approved COVID-19 pandemic response strategy, PRS. The granting of a moratorium and or temporary extension of deadlines for the filing of taxes for individuals and businesses for 2020. The waiver of interest and penalties on tax liabilities, and the provision of tax credits to eligible businesses. D, the implementation of a 3-month unemployment benefit for NIC contributors and an income support program for non-NIC contributors impacted by the lockdown measures instituted from March 2020. E, the application of the proxy means testing instrument for the transparent delivery and targeting of poor households for scaling up of social assistance.
Health officials the world over have stated that the coronavirus will be around for years to come, and its effects will continue to be felt even as progress is being made on a vaccine. The government of St. Lucia, like many other countries throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, has and continues to institute measures and protocols in an effort to protect the public while maintaining the country's economic viability. This, however, requires additional government expenditure. The Prime Minister highlighted that the initiatives to be implemented will also encompass measures to stabilize the country's economy.
Pillar 2, the strengthened economic and fiscal management for the post-pandemic recovery. This shall be done through the following. A, the preparation of an ERP to resume equitably fiscal sustainable growth guided by fiscal risk analysis, the establishment of a fiscal rules policy framework, the adoption of a public debt management policy, D, the implementation of an electronic public procurement platform. Mr. Speaker, the implementation of this program will be the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance will work alongside the CDB and other stakeholders to coordinate all actions across the relevant government agencies.
The loan consists of a special funds resources portion in the amount of US $10,800,000 and an ordinary capital resources portion in the amount of US $19,200,000. The pronouncements were made at the sitting of Parliament on Tuesday, 10th November 2020. From the Government Information Service, I am Janelle Norville.
Thank you very much, Janelle, for that report. Just giving you the rundown on the COVID-19 situation here in St. Lucia. Government to heighten management of COVID-19 following parliamentary approval to access financing. And meanwhile, we're registering new cases of the virus, 5 new cases as at Wednesday, the 18th of November, bringing our tally to 183 cases to date here in St. Lucia. Just to give you some information, an important traffic notice coming from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force on why police have closed access to the roadway from the Shock roundabout all the way up to the Corinth Gap due to multiple vehicular collisions along the Castries to Groseley Highway last evening, which resulted in oil spills along the roadway. They wish to inform the motoring public that access from the Shock roundabout to the Corinth Gap is restricted until further notice. The closure is to facilitate cleaning efforts by the fire service personnel, that's the St. Lucia Fire Service, and other partner agencies. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force wishes to thank everyone for their continued cooperation and understanding at this time. Definitely an understandable situation as they try to clean up that oil spillage on the roadway there. Meantime, you can access the back roads, go there safely, and if you're northbound, you can detour at any one of the points of detouring up until the Union Gap, and also you can, if you are southbound, you can go to any one of the detours right up until the Corinth Gap. So please take note of this important notice from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. When we come back, the government of St. Lucia, through the Department of Agriculture, continues efforts to support fisherfolk around the island amid the impact of the pandemic. Stay with us.
Virus ready to harm us. Panic is not the answer. We can win this together. Often use hand sanitizer. Better yet, use soap and water.
We must protect each other if we are to beat this corona.
Together, let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together, let us win this war. Be a soldier, together we can beat this corona.
So you don't become the next case. Avoid touching your face. I'm sure you've been told so. Handshakes and hugging are a no.
Advice, give you the please. Cover your mouth and your nose if you cough or sneeze.
Practice social distancing and avoid large social gatherings.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. St. Lucia, be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
For further information, please contact the hotline at 311 or the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We're bringing you the latest developments from the government of St. Lucia. And one of the headlines, we have a traffic notice on the Bulletin, temporary road closure due to multiple vehicular collisions along the Castries Groseley Highway last evening, which resulted in oil spills along the roadway. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force wishes to inform the motoring public that access from the Shock roundabout all the way up to the Corinth Gap is restricted until further notice. The closure is to facilitate cleaning efforts by the St. Lucia Fire Service and other partner agencies. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force wishes to thank all for their continued cooperation and understanding. We continue with news. The government of St. Lucia, through the Department of Agriculture, continues efforts to support fisherfolk around the island amid the impact of COVID-19. Take a look.
The global outbreak of COVID-19 has created many challenges for individuals in the fishing sector, including decreased demand, the unreliable market for fish, and reduced access to fishing. In an effort to provide relief for fisherfolk currently being affected by the pandemic, eligible fisherfolk will receive a one-time grant of $500 from the government of St. Lucia. Speaking at the handing over ceremony for the relief program, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Natural Resources and Cooperatives, Barrymore Felicier, affirms that the ministry will continue to work to safeguard the livelihoods of fisherfolk across St. Lucia.
Today, we are pleased as the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries, Natural Resources and Cooperatives to be part of the rollout and to deliver on our COVID response plan, and adjusted what was input support to now income support to the fishers. So initially the idea was to provide $900 worth of fuel to both our vessel owners, and since having consultations with the various cooperatives, we found it to be more equitable to provide that support to eligible fishers, boat owners and crew. So we see that it would have impacted a larger number of persons and created a greater impact.
Fisherfolk cooperatives island-wide have agreed to facilitate the payment of the grant to both members and non-members of the Fisherfolk Cooperative Societies. Vice President of the St. Lucia Fisherfolk Cooperative Society, Devon Stevens, expresses gratitude to the government of St. Lucia for ensuring the income support initiative comes to fruition.
When the stimulus package, well, what they actually decided on, the $900, well, it was more or less a voucher to the boat owners. When they revised it and they said that, we wouldn't have met we wouldn't have reached out to the crew and, giving each fisher $500, well, each registered fisher, that is, $500, it would have made a greater impact. And I want to, say thank you, Mr. Permanent Secretary, for that.
To qualify for the income support program from the government of St. Lucia, fisherfolk must be registered with the Department of Fisheries and also be captured on the 2019 to 2021 fishing license application as a boat owner or captain and crew associated with the vessel. From the Information Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Thank you, Anicia. The Caribbean community, CARICOM, is observing Energy Month this November with a focus on resilience and development. We have Michelle Nurse of CARICOM News Time with more.
The month is being observed under the theme Resilient Community, Energy at the Center. Mr. Joseph Cox, CARICOM Assistant Secretary General, in a message to mark the occasion, said energy is central to building a prosperous and resilient Caribbean community.
For CARICOM, energy sits at the center. Welcome to CARICOM Energy Month, where under the theme, A Resilient Community, Energy at the Center, our region will take stock of progress and realign efforts towards the goal of providing businesses and citizens with access to affordable, adequate, safe, and clean energy services. Energy is indeed central to the building of a prosperous and resilient Caribbean community.
Experts on the panel discussed the region's path to a sustainable climate-resilient future and looked at issues including energy financing, technology, and capacity. Activities will be held throughout the month, and they're aimed at raising awareness about what is occurring in the regional energy sector. More details on the activities can be found at energy.caricom.org and at secre.org and on all our social media platforms.
Thanks for that. Tourism and health officials are rolling out a thorough plan for the management of the Atlantic Rally for cruisers. Once participants arrive at the IGY Rodney Bay Marina in early December, Hurma Demak breaks down the processes that have been put in place. We know that the Ark has set sail from Cape Verde, and so we do wish them all the best as they make their way across the ocean. Take a look.
Strict protocols are being announced by the St. Lucia Tourism Authority and the Events Company of St. Lucia, guided by the Ministry of Health for the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers, ARC. Plans to manage the arrival, testing, and screening process were outlined at a media walkthrough at the events venue, the IGY Rodney Bay Marina. Participants were mandated to arrive in Las Palmas no less than 1 week prior to the scheduled departure. They went through mandatory PCR testing and remained in isolation until leaving Las Palmas. Participants were also briefed on St. Lucia's strict protocols, and information on each participant will be handed to the Ministry of Health prior to their arrival in St. Lucia. Velon Sharma is an environmental health officer with the Port Health Department of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Upon entry to St. Lucia, right, persons are screened by the Port Health team, right? The nurses will do the necessary checks, right, and ensure that persons are COVID-free, basically.
If the information presented to the Ministry of Health shows any anomalies, the vessel in question will be asked to remain on anchor on the bay, and the issue will be addressed there. The average ARC participant will spend an average of 21 days in isolation on their way to St. Lucia. The general manager for the IGY Rodney Bay Marina, Sean DeVoe, explains the protocols for vessels in the racing class.
We have designated a dock, which we'll walk around to show you, which is J dock. And that dock is the quarantine dock. So, for example, for a vessel that is going to arrive in 12 days, the balance of their quarantine must be done at the dock, where they will not be allowed to get off the boat. They will not be allowed to walk down the dock or anything else. Provisions have been put in place by the sponsors and the tenants of the marina to make deliveries to the vessel, but again, those deliveries are done at a distance where the items are placed on the deck of the boat, and those on board and the delivery supplier are distanced more than 40 feet apart because it's the length of the boat. When on quarantine, those clients will be placed with a red band by the Port Health for the duration of their quarantine period.
Participants will be given blue bands at the end of the process to indicate that they have completed their final quarantine period. From the Government Information Service, Herma DeMark reporting.
Thank you for that report, Herma, just outlining the processes that have been put in place when we welcome the participants of the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers at the IGY Rodney Bay Marina in early December. Do stay tuned. We're due for another break. When we come back, we take a look at some bulletin information, one of which is thanks going out to the individuals who applied for the position of warden within as support to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force in an effort to enforce the protocols, the COVID-19 protocols around the island. Stay with us.
Keeping hands clean is important for good health. However, after a disaster, staying clean is hard to do, especially if there is no pipe-borne water. Simple things you can do to stay clean and remain healthy are: wash your hands with soap and clean water. If these are not available, sanitizers with alcohol are options. Wash your hands many times during the day, before preparing food, eating, caring for a sick person or baby, treating a cut, wound, or sore. Wash hands after using the bathroom, changing diapers, caring for animals, caring for sick or injured persons, after handling garbage. Washing your hands is one of the best ways to prevent illness. For further information, contact the Bureau of Health Education at telephone number 468-5349.
Thank you for staying with us. We're now down to our final segment of the morning. An update from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I know that we reported earlier that there was a road closure until further notice from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force with respect to the roadway from the Shock roundabout to the Corinth Gap, restricted to facilitate some cleaning. The update now is that the highway is now opened to motorists, and we continue, that's according to RSLPF, we continue to encourage safe usage of our roadways. So it appears that the cleaning has been done by the St. Lucia Fire Service personnel and other partner agencies in cleaning up the oil spills that resulted from a few vehicular collisions along the Castries-Grosley Highway last night. So that work has been done. Kudos to the officials who have ensured a quick removal, cleanup of the oil spillage on that highway, letting you know the highway is now opened. Continuing with some more bulletin information, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force would like to thank the persons who submitted applications for consideration for the post of warden. As previously advertised, we wish to inform members of the public that no further applications will be accepted for processing right now. Thus far, hundreds of applications have been received by the Office of the Commissioner of Police for processing. All applications are undergoing a vetting process, and a list of suitable candidates will be prepared, after which each individual will be contacted for the next phase of the process. We wish to clarify that the selection of candidates is solely the responsibility of the Commissioner of Police. Once the list has been finalized by the Office of the Commissioner of Police, a request will be submitted to the Office of the Prime Minister for budgetary approval. This request will be for consideration of payment of salaries, a number of persons to be employed, and allocations for uniforms for the selected wardens. Qualifying candidates will then be informed and training sessions will commence. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force continues to encourage all persons in St. Lucia to be safe as they continue the fight against COVID-19. So that's the word from law enforcement in terms of the recruitment of wardens. I know that there was an application out for to recruit 200 wardens to be able to further enforce the COVID-19 protocols in the nooks and crannies of our island. And we're hearing now that they have gotten hundreds of applications and they're sorting it out, going through the vetting process, and will be submitting word to the OPM for budgetary approval. For salaries, these persons will be paid a salary. These persons will be given a uniform, and essentially they will become official representatives of law enforcement in the various communities to ensure that persons are adhering to the protocols. We continue with the bulletin information before we close. In keeping with the Department of Justice, wishes to inform the public that the family court will remain closed during the week of the 16th to the 20th of November 2020. That is this week. This closure is necessary to facilitate remedial construction within the building and subsequent deep cleaning of that workspace. The public is encouraged to contact the Women's Support Shelter hotline 2020 and or the police station within their respective communities in the event of a domestic violence dispute. Payments for child maintenance can be made at the Civil Status Registry and clients will be guided, upon arrival. No other child maintenance transactions shall be conducted. Normal operations at the family court will resume from Monday, the 23rd of November, 2020. And the Department of Housing, Urban Renewal and Telecommunications wishes to inform that all mail being delivered to their office shall be handed to the security on the ground floor of the Graham Louise Administrative Building at the waterfront until return to office. The public is also encouraged to contact the department via telephone number 285-5076 or 285-8853 or 285-9861. I'll read that out again. If you're trying to get into contact with the Department of Housing, Urban Renewal and Telecommunications, you can get them via the telephone number 285-5076, 285-8853, and 285-9861. Or you can email them at housing@govt.lc for any required assistance. And we have finally the Ministry of Infrastructure, Ports, Energy and Labor wishing to inform residents and the motoring public of the immediate closure of Upper Church Street, Soufriere, to facilitate of urgent replacement of a grill crossing. As a result of the road will be impassable to vehicular traffic for 2 weeks, during which time drivers are encouraged to use alternative routes. Pedestrians are urged to obey all of the traffic signs which are posted for guidance and public safety. For further information, including your questions, your suggestions and queries, you can call 468-4300. Well, that brings us to the end of our morning update, coming to you live on NTN for the government of St. Lucia. We want to close with this report looking at the regional front, St. Vincent and the Grenadines assuming the month-long presidency of the United Nations Security Council. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. My name is Jessie Leon signing off for now. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Make it productive. We know that, the offices are getting emptier and emptier where possible, and there's less contact meetings, but we do hope that you, the workforce, are still being productive working from home. And the kids, I'd like to say good morning to all the kids who are schooling from home right now. We do hope that you are learning and you are absorbing all of the instruction being imparted to you by your teachers via online and the packages that you are receiving right now. Do enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the week as well. So stay with us as we bring you this final report. St. Vincent and the Grenadines assuming the month-long presidency of the United Nations Security Council. Goodbye.
On the St. Vincent and the Grenadines presidency, The Security Council aims to address contemporary challenges such as pandemics, environmental challenges, climate change and its security consequences, and the nexus between development and peace and security. The Security Council agenda for November will feature a high-level meeting on contemporary drivers of conflict and insecurity, such as climate change and underdevelopment.
It is a historic occasion, a moment for our country, and it comes on the heels of our 41st anniversary of our Proclamation of Independence in 1979. We are the smallest country ever to sit on the United Nations Security Council, and of course, assuming the presidency is an especial honor, and we are immensely proud to bring our unique perspective to the discussions and to make our contribution to the maintenance of international peace and security.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines was officially elected as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and officially assumed its position on the 2nd of January 2020 until the 31st of December 2021. The CARICOM member state is the smallest country to hold the presidency of the important UN body.